I was gonna say, haven't you guys noticed? I mean, since we're like Gen Xers and like we're over 50 now, even me. Um, but haven't you
You're
noticed that
49.
like we've dropped off like the media, companies that sell things, algorithms, they don't give a shit about us anymore. Like
No, they're just sitting out
we're
numbers.
we're just like we're like whatever. We're like, oh man, if you can get those guys to buy something, great.
I'll be right back, guys.
We are not the target audience for any of this anymore. It doesn't matter what we think. Like I said, it's going to happen whether we want it to or not. It's not. The question is, do we want to engage with it or not?
Hello, welcome back to the Friends of Zeus podcast. This is episode 164. I am filming whatever. What do I call it?
Streaming, recording,
I am
potting.
streaming from
Hmm.
the wonderful Patriots Pub and Grill in downtown Fairfax, Virginia. Um, Tonight we are going to hand the reins over to Jack. And Jack, would you like to tell us what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, actually, we wanted to have a conversation about what's going on nationwide this week, which are there's been a variety of large protests happening, and the ones I want to talk about mainly are happening on the universities, but there have been some others as well that are
The
noteworthy.
bridges, right?
The past week, yeah. So I want to get into mainly the university protesters, where all that's coming from, and just some examples of what's happening. And I want to have an open conversation. I mean, this is happening as we speak. It's been on the news. And then if we have time after that, there's a couple of things going on Capitol Hill that are probably worth us talking about if we have time to do that in this episode. So let's just see where this goes.
That's good.
Um, Now, as far as the protests the last week, some notable ones are there were environmental protesters out in California that formed a human, I guess it was just a mob. It wasn't like a chain, but basically blocking the Golden Gate Bridge
Yeah, yeah.
in San Francisco. And obviously, this caused a lot of problems, massive delays. Some emergency vehicles were reportedly not able to get through. So that was one major protest. And I think there were some arrests made eventually, but these people were allowed to demonstrate the way they were for a pretty long time. I don't know
5 or 6
exactly
hours.
And if I'm
about.
if I'm not if I'm not mistaken, isn't the Golden Gate Bridge like the entrance to San Francisco? Like
One,
there's
Oh, well,
you
I mean, it
have
depends on which way you come from, but
it
yeah.
goes to
Right.
but
Marin
it's
County.
a major thoroughfare, right?
The Bay Bridge takes you to Oakland. The Golden Gate takes you to Marin County, like Napa, all that area.
But it's
But
still
there's
San Francisco on each side.
yeah, so
Yeah.
and but there's a lot of commuters that cross it. Um, but Jack, was it environmental or was it
I thought it
Palestinian
was.
thing?
Oh, was it the Palestinian
It
thing?
was
You might
definitely
be.
a
I don't know.
Palestinian thing, yeah.
It
I
was okay. No, you're right. You're right. There were some climate change protests as well, but I'm thinking of the things happening at the museums over the
oh,
last month. No, you're right. It was the pro-Hamas or allegedly pro-Palestine um,
that's a good
on the
way of
Golden
putting it.
Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, just as a side note, but it's pretty noteworthy. It's got nothing to do with the main topic, but there was also a protester outside Trump's trial.
Yeah,
Um,
that's self-immolated.
yeah, he lit himself on fire. He had a manifesto. He was pretty far on the left, but it seemed like he hated everybody. He just thought we were in a doomsday
Yeah.
Cool.
spiral.
I saw a story on him where and it showed pictures of him in the past, and there's a picture of him with Clinton, like back in the day.
Yeah, I saw
So
that too.
yeah, I don't know if that makes him that I don't
It,
picture Clinton as like far left. I actually still kind of like the guy a little bit for what
he
it's worth. But
he
but
worked.
yeah,
He
I
was,
found that was
Yeah, he
kind of
worked for the
interesting.
campaign, I thought.
and he also worked for the Democratic congressman that beat Santos or took Santos's old seat
Yeah, that was pretty alarming. And did you see
up
the
in New
story
York.
about the Jewish girl that got stabbed in the eye?
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that because we'll
I'm
go
so,
back. We'll go
as I
back to the.
do.
Yeah, no, well,
Yeah. It's not only me.
no, it's not only you. It's okay. Yeah, but I didn't make a PowerPoint like Desiree is awesome enough to do, unfortunately. I just have
He's the
my
bomb.
messy
Okay.
notebook.
His legal pad.
So yeah, just a couple of things that are coming out of these protests. I mean, it's nationwide. Off the top of my head, you've got UC Berkeley, you've got Yale, Columbia, MIT. I want to say University of Michigan. Those are like the big ones.
And those are big schools, all of
Yeah,
them.
and we're talking about hundreds of students taking over like the entrance ways to campuses, taking over like the main quads. Basically, there's a lot of signage, there's a lot of chanting. They're stopping people from being able to go to class. And I know in Colombia, I think it's gotten to the point where they've now just canceled in-person classes completely.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
um,
how fucked up is that? That they have to go to hybrid courses because it's too dangerous for people to go to class.
well,
It's
that's the problem is that it's not just like these peaceful protests. I mean, there actually are, we live in an age where everybody's got a cell phone and everybody's streaming constantly or FaceTiming or, whatever. They're putting stuff out there. You also have underground journalists, like real journalists going down there with cameras. And there's been a lot of like, intimidation, harassment of Jewish students or Jewish looking students,
Provoking.
How
or
do you look Jewish?
You wear a kippah or you have like
yeah,
braids.
well,
yarmulke.
yeah, or
You got
Yeah.
you
the
wear a
yarmulke on?
Star of
That's
David,
that's yeah.
I mean, and I think a lot of
Little
students have,
curly things going down
Yeah,
the
well,
Orthodox. I mean,
I've
there's
seen the
been
curly
it's
yeah,
things.
I mean, Orthodox Jews have been getting harassed and jumped in Brooklyn and parts of New York for a
it's
decade or two
yeah, a long time.
decades.
and
Decades.
even like the nonsensical stuff, like you guys remember the video that was going around where they were the Jewish people were coming out of they were saying they were coming out of the sewers or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's the interesting thing about all this from a sociological point of view. That doesn't like mean a lot to us, but it's in the back of your head that you saw that, and that's what these people are seeing, and they're going, "Oh, well, they're climbing out of," you know what I mean? Like the intriguing part is the subtle little things that they send stories out that don't really matter much, but when you implicate them with the bigger picture, then these mouth breathers that are looking into the bigger stuff remember that thing where the Jewish guys were climbing out of the sewers, which was not the case. I think we talked about that a little bit on it. Oh, that was with Josh
Gosh,
Perry.
I don't think we talked about it on the episode, but
Oh, that's right. That was one of his episodes. That's right.
yeah.
Anyway, to move on, but I think that's a big part of that is the I'm gonna say that I don't like these people, but the ingenious efforts that they're making to have little subtle implications to one thing or another, and then hit you with the bigger thing, and then people remember that, which was nonsense. It was all disproven. I think that's the scary part is that they're putting it in. I use the term a lot, but they're putting it in the zeitgeist, so it's part of what we're listening to and what we're seeing, and then it kind of it's kind of exclamatory to the bigger things that they're talking about. Did I make any sense there? Or
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. I see this stuff with all the anti-Semitism, and I'm like, to me, it's like it's similar to like the transgender crap. It's like 15 minutes ago, no one ever talked about this, or if they did, it was like a hypothetical when you're at a bar
Or it
talking to
was
someone.
Tu Wong
And
Fu. You
and
know,
then
it was like something that was spectacular.
and anti-Semitism has been around for time immemorial, and now all of a sudden it's like uh Farrakhan is mainstreamed, right? Like it's, the Jews are this, it's just like whatever, man. I mean, it's the whole oppressor thing. There's nothing new about it. And
Yeah.
you've got all these kids that think that they're like just figuring out something new for the first time or whatever. And meanwhile, again, my take, not to like jump to the whatever, but I'm like, it is a democracy that has an elected leadership. It's basically a free country in the middle of a shithole area that's run by autocrats and people that have no regard for human rights at all. And all of those people, like 60 million people, want to kill like the 3 million people that are westernized and believe in human rights. So I don't care what religion they are. I don't care. To me, that's all I need to know. It's like
And,
I support Israel 1,000%. Like I don't even need to get into like who struck John, who's been here for 4,000 years. I don't give a shit about any of that. Like none of
and
that is important to me. I'm like, this is a society that is one of the most advanced societies on the planet. And here's what I don't understand. Why? I mean, I get they're there, it's the Holy Land, but I'm like, geez, man, like, I don't know if I would be there. I'm like, just go somewhere else. Like, I just don't care much about real estate that much.
Right.
But whatever, it's their right if they want to be there and they're
and,
defending it.
Well, Mike, it's the
End of
Holy
story.
Land, right?
That's what I'm saying. And just because I don't understand, whatever, it's their right to be where they are. I don't
and
need to know any of this other stuff. You got these people that are like on these college campuses that are talking about like, oh, Palestinians and blah blah. I'm like, they've been in Gaza. They had the run of Gaza since 2005. They elected a terrorist organization as their leader. They never had another election. They don't fight back against it. 87% of the population supported Hamas before October 7th. They supported what happened on October 7th. They
Right.
still support them, and they can go pound sand. As far as I'm concerned,
well,
it's like they're hot.
I'm
It's like
I'm going to
Israel
disagree
is
with you.
bending over backwards
Mm-hmm.
to defend themselves, and the ratio of civilian deaths to military deaths is one of the lowest of any modern war, probably the
Right.
lowest that we've ever had. And the numbers that our media keeps saying that 30,000 plus died, the real numbers, it's like about 5,000. If you look into it and we can put it down here, I'm sure people are going to bark at me about
Yeah,
that.
because how did 30,000 people fit in the Gaza Strip?
Well, there's a lot of
Well,
people in the
mean,
there's a
Gaza
lot
Strip,
of
Oh,
people
there's
in the
millions.
gods.
but it's
Here's
not.
it,
Anyway,
and Mike, if I may,
Well, go
here's
ahead, Zeus.
here's my thing on it, and I've held firm on this. I don't give a fuck about either of the governments. Fuck them.
it's one
They're
government.
assholes that are putting the people that they're supposed to protect in danger.
Who?
Yes.
Who?
Well,
Who?
Israel?
Who?
bear with me. I don't like what Hamas did, obviously, and my attitude is if you walk into the woods and you poke a bear with a stick, fuck around and find out.
yeah,
Yeah, we
fuck
talked
around
about
and
that
find
last
out.
week.
But my flip side on that is that
Here
I
comes
don't
the
give
bird.
a shit about the governments. I just don't. The people in the middle. Can I get another one? Thanks. The people in the middle are the ones that I'm concerned about. And to your point about them voting for them, I seem to remember that Saddam Hussein would have everybody vote for him, and you get a little purple dye on your thumb, and if you didn't have the purple dye when you left the voting booth, you might disappear.
Well,
So
they could
I
rise
look. Well,
up
hold
then.
on. Let me finish. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, but I want to make this point: is that I think that, yes, they did vote for these people, but I look at it as more of like a societal battered wife syndrome. Like,
Then
No.
whatever. Then why are Israel? Why
why
does
do you
Israel
say
have
no
to?
so quickly, Jack?
No,
But why do you
why
say
does
no
Israel
so
have to
quickly?
pay the asshole tax on that? Like, okay,
Well, not.
whatever. Get the
I mean,
violin
Yeah, but
out.
what the fuck are they going to do? They've cut off all their food. They've cut off all
They're
their.
feeding them. They're the ones giving
Do
them
they have
electricity and
weapons
water.
to defend themselves? We don't know this.
They
We
did.
only
Israel
get.
didn't attack them, man. They attacked
But that's
Israel.
not the point. The people
Yeah,
that
they should have thought
attacked
out. They
Israel
should have
were
thought about that
Hamas.
one a little bit better.
What? I
What
just
it? I
I
mean, think
think that
about
we're
it.
being a little narrow-minded with the whole. They voted for him because when Saddam
well,
It's more
Hussein
than
did
that.
it, that was what
No,
that
it's more
that
than that. Like, listen, there's no moral equivalency here. If you are a Palestinian, if you are an Arab, if you're a Persian, if you're an American, and you want to live in Israel and you become a citizen, you can vote there and you can get a job there and you can do all kinds of stuff there. If you're an Israeli,
Yeah, but
if
we
you're
don't know
Jewish
what
and you walk
ramifications
into the
will
Gaza
they
Strip,
have if
like
they don't
you will
vote
get
the
your
right
head cut
way.
off. That is not the same,
well,
man.
look, I mean, the bottom line then, Zeus, if you're talking about why did they vote the way they did? They did it at gunpoint. I don't know that for a fact. I don't know what went on in Gaza in
That's
2005.
all I'm
All
saying.
I all I know is I know about the polls that Mike is talking about. I know about people that I've met. I know about the protesters that I'm looking at. I mean, there are people here, and that's the problem. This protest, they're physically taking it to Israeli students. They're blocking them in with hundreds of people. They're not giving them the right of way. I mean, they're using intimidation and harassment tactics to the point where the Colombia president in front of Congress, I forget who was it, Stefanik, I believe is her name.
Yeah,
She
at
had to
least
put the hard
Stefanik.
press on her because
Yeah,
initially the president, after everything we saw with Harvard's president, she tried to deny that there was anything purely anti-Semitic going on, and then they showed her the receipts and some of the things that were being said on those campuses and some of the signs that were being held. I mean, there's video out there. You have people saying, Jews, fuck you, go back to Poland. I am Hamas. We are Hamas.
yeah,
There was a Jewish group that showed up and they burned their Israeli flag. Like you said, a student got jabbed in an eye. The police aren't protecting these students. Even professors that were Jewish weren't allowed to like
yeah,
go to their offices at one point.
yeah.
I mean,
I agree with. Listen, I don't
wait,
disagree with
yeah,
what
here's
you're
another one.
saying.
There is only Palestine. We are Hamas, Zionist pig. I
Yeah.
mean, and that's the problem. These people aren't protesting for a two-state peaceful solution. They're saying from the river to the sea. That means no Israel at all.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too, man. It's like these people, and again, for me, everyone's like, man, it's so difficult to figure out. I'm like, it is so
No.
crystal clear to me. Like, I don't know why people have a problem trying to figure this out. You have the party indoctrination mills known as these college campuses, like Columbia, where
Yeah.
they will painfully take people like to the wall and explain how like there's things called microaggressions
Right.
and people are getting penalized and having their college careers impacted because of microaggressions. And meanwhile, you've got people calling for genocide against an entire people based on immutable traits that they have. And these people in the party, and they're all Democrats. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no Republicans that are doing this, that are in these. I mean, let's be honest here. And they're all sitting there like, well, we don't really, I mean, this isn't really, we're just protesting. I'm like, listen, man, don't piss on my leg. Tell me it's raining. It's like, I know bullshit when I see it, and it's bullshit. And these
Mhm.
people, half of them aren't even students on these campuses, probably. I mean, many are, but they're coming in from outside.
Listen, call
Can
me
you
bleeding heart,
imagine? I mean,
whatever. I just
I'm
don't
surprised
feel
people,
like.
anyway,
Again, I equate it to a societal battered wife syndrome. There,
Are you
these.
talking about these pampered college students? Like, who are
No,
you talking about?
I'm talking about over there.
All
That's
right,
what
well, yeah,
I'm
but
talking.
that's look, there I look, if I live in Gaza and I'm Palestinian and I'm getting
I'm getting on a
bombed,
boat and I'm living on a
I
boat.
get it. Look, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking
That's what I'm
about
talking about.
I'm
Over
talking
here,
about,
it's fucking bonkers.
well, over here, it's Americans coddled, pampered at the most expensive, most elite universities in the world. And once again, who do I side with? I side with the oppressed, the less successful, the
Yeah.
less Western, the less white people in their minds. You know, even though all these people come from the same region of the world, one of them is very successful and is a democratic nation. And then that's another thing that baffles me. You have these signs, LGBTQ for Palestine, for Gaza, for Hamas.
It,
I get
I
that.
mean,
they're eating
that doesn't,
themselves, man.
I mean, yeah, why don't you go over there? You know what I
I'm
mean?
saying
Like,
the intersectionality, the left is eating itself. And this whole
right.
idea, look, listen, are you guys old enough to remember like Occupy Wall Street and all that
Yeah.
stuff? I had a
Yeah,
lot
of
of those
Yeah.
course.
jokers. This guy
Yeah.
used to work for actually like went down there, camped out in downtown Baltimore in the harbor for like weeks and months or whatever. Anyway, the Occupy Wall Street people, the Summer of Love 2020 rioters that like burned
Yeah.
down buildings in my neighborhood and not
Yeah.
neighborhood, well, my city and around here and caused all kinds of chaos and like responsible for the
Where is
murder
that?
responsible for the murder of like over 32 people
Mm.
nationwide that no one wants to talk about, like billions of dollars in destruction and all that
Over
stuff.
two.
And then all of this stuff going on the campuses and everything in between, and all this crap against Trump and all these bullshit fucking cases and all that stuff. It's all the same people. It's all this Marxist bullshit is
Yeah.
what it is. It's like they're just putting on another garb, and that's what they're
Mhm.
wearing today. The common thread is they hate America and they hate Americanism and they hate individual freedom, individual rights, consent of the governed, all that stuff. The Constitution,
Mhm.
the Declaration of Independence. NPR put a fucking trigger warning on the Declaration of Independence, which they read on July 4th. Now it's got a trigger warning. These people are not, and again, I'm not the one that said this, and I thought it was crazy when I first heard it, but I believe it now. They're not the opposition. They are the enemy. These people want to destroy our civil society.
See,
And it's a
that I
cool
agree with.
conversation, and we can just talk about it. But until you realize that that is the game that's going on right now,
Mhm.
I don't know what to say, man. I mean, it's like
Here's my
once you see
here's
it,
my
you
thing,
can't
Mike.
unsee it. And it
And
makes everything
also,
else make sense.
one of the chants that they're saying is death to Israel, death to America. Like
Yeah.
they're coming right out and saying it. And hey, Mike,
But
did you see the video of that guy? It was some kind of a meeting of like an auto union. Like it was some, it was in like a hotel conference room, and they invited this guest speaker, I guess who was Palestinian, and he was getting them all to repeat something. I think it was called Margbar.
I don't know.
Um,
I don't know anything about this.
Oh yeah, no, he was getting them to chant Margbar Israel, Margbar America, which means death to. And people were doing it.
Yeah.
These are
I mean,
like Americans yeah,
the
no.
same people that hate America are the same ones that hate Israel and vice versa.
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
100%. I mean,
Yeah, good
without
enough for me.
Mike, if I
there's
may,
no exceptions,
if
none.
I may,
It's all the same.
but hold on.
Yeah.
I think that we're actually not as far off from each other as we thought. Because when I'm talking the people in Palestine and
He
in
was
Israel.
too.
That's where my heart breaks over the people in the middle. I understand. Yeah, here
Well,
it's fucking bonkers.
well,
I get that.
you're alone because their hearts aren't breaking over it because Hamas could end this tomorrow. They could
Yeah.
release
No,
the
no, I'm not
people.
talking about Hamas though. I'm talking about the little people in the middle. And
Okay,
that's
what I'm
on both
saying
sides.
is the people here are supporting Hamas, and Hamas doesn't give a shit.
That I'm fully on
Israel
board.
cares more about the
Mhm.
people in Gaza than Hamas does. That is proven. No question about it.
Well, and also these protesters, you wonder how many of them know the history of the region, how many of them know anything about these two places, how many of them, and where were all the protests for people being bombed in all these other countries that were Muslim? I mean, name the country: Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Afghanistan. Like there was no up in arms protests in college campuses across America for any of that shit. This is only because it's Jews. That's really what this is. They're
I mean,
protesting a successful democratic country basically defending itself after being attacked and invaded. And like you said, Mike, Gaza, there's still hostages there. There are still terrorists
There's
there.
American hostages
Yeah.
there. There are 5 American citizens. Who knows if they're alive? Look, they
Probably
were
not.
just Israel put out a thing. This was about, and look, Hamas has denied every single offer that Israel has put out for
Right.
this like quote unquote ceasefire thing. So Israel sent this was about 2 weeks ago. Israel sent a list of about, I don't know, 54 names of hostages that they wanted released, and these were like the older, the younger, the women, all like people that the weaker ones that they thought may need to get out soon. Anyway, they sent the list of these 54 people. You know what Hamas's responses was? So we can't find any of these people. There's a lot of people who are doing the math now. They think there's only about 20, 27 of these hostages out of the 130 some that we think are there that are even still alive.
Wow.
I agree.
And so I don't need some 20-year-old up in New York, in Columbia, pointing their finger at me. I'm like, seriously, fuck these people. I mean, my question is, where are the men? Where are the people going out and like preventing this bullshit from happening? Because I don't understand it. I don't know how much we're supposed to tolerate all this stuff. I mean, at what point? I mean, when is it too much? When is it too much? Where is America? Where are Americans? Where's our culture?
Well, I mean, in
confronting
this case,
these people, confronting these protesters. Why do we have Jewish students having to confront this stuff by themselves?
no,
Where are
right.
the local people? Where are
Well,
the people like coming up there and being like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? Get the fuck out!"
Well, yeah, but if you remember some of the protests that led up to, or some of like the events where there were clashes. Remember back in like from 2017 to 2020, where Antifa would show up at like pro-America or pro-Republican
Yeah,
rallies, and they would intimidate, and they would even hurt people. They come
yeah,
with all their shit,
yeah,
and then there was groups like the Proud Boys that would show up to kick their ass.
yeah.
And that group is now vilified as an extremist,
Nazis.
nationalist,
Yeah,
white
exactly,
supremacist group.
exactly.
So at this point, conservatives that may want to go help, I mean, look at January 6th, look
They're
at the
gun
Proud
shy.
Boys. Like they're kind of hoping the police step in and do what needs to be done because we trust the police, we back the police, all this. And the police in these places aren't arresting very many of these people at
They're
all.
afraid. Yeah, and I'm not
And
pounding my
then
chest here like, these people aren't. But the one that protest that's been going on at Blinken's house, I've talked to you guys about.
yeah, I want
I've
to see
talked to
that.
those people. I've been like, and we're gonna record some of it. But I've
Good.
asked them like, do you support Hamas? They give you a flimsy answer. They don't answer. Do you denounce Hamas? They don't. And I'm like, okay, so you support Hamas? And they're like, these
Right.
people, they are, if you dig a half a centimeter down, they have nothing to say. I mean, these people are bananas. And if I see all these people driving by, and I live in a place with a lot of powerful people, every time I go by, I stop my car and I talk to them in the middle of the street. I roll down my window and we draw back and forth because it's like if you don't push back, then you agree with it. And I'm just wondering, like, where is everybody? I mean, how much are we going to push this? What has to happen before this stuff gets shut down? It's just a rhetorical question.
No,
I'm 50. I'm an old guy. I mean, people see me coming, they're like, whatever, I mean,
right,
I'm not an MMA fighter by any stretch, and I'm not
right.
even saying it has to be violent. But it's like, where's the verbal pushback?
Yeah.
I'm not even seeing that. I don't
Yeah,
even
well,
see the verbal pushback.
yeah. I mean, if you're talking about actually engaging with these people, I mean, just if the police can't do it, that's one thing. But then we also look at the way our government treats people that are conservative, that do stand
Right.
up for
You
the.
end up in jail.
You end up in jail, and I remember, Mike, when all the Antifa stuff was going on, you had Jerry Nadler denying that they even existed
Right.
completely, saying, "Oh, it's just an idea." And that kind of goes to like what's going on the college campuses. Like it's clearly not organic and
Clearly.
grassroots in any way. And it's there's an organization to it. There's a systematic giving of marching orders, of tactics. Some of these campuses, you even see the same professional signage like BLM had, and you also see identical tents, identical like camping equipment.
Good point. Yeah, where did
You
all
know what
that
I
come
mean?
from?
So it's and also kind of like where did the Ukrainian flags come from when that was a big thing?
Just
Now you look at these protesters, they're all wearing what is it called? A kafia,
the
the
scarf.
headdress.
Yeah. Or the
What's it
scarf. It
called?
goes around the neck. It's like
And right,
white
or
with
it
black
can go over the
printing on
head.
it.
Right,
Or the
right.
head. Yeah.
Yeah. Hundreds of students have these things now.
Right. Right. You
I
probably sell them
guarantee
on Amazon. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
Amazon.
well, that's what I mean. But someone's like, I mean, I guess because suddenly there's a demand for them, suddenly there's a huge supply for them. I mean, and then as far as the organization, I was watching this one podcaster. He kind of broke down where this comes from in terms of the organization and the funding, right?
mhm.
So there was a Berkeley professor. His name is Hatim Bazian, and he's a founder of American Muslims for Palestine, and also is I think a co-founder of Students for Justice in Palestine, which are these nationwide, maybe international even organizations. Now, money gets sent to these organizations supposedly from a lot of it, and this is something I didn't know. The country out there that gives the most money to universities in America,
Guitar.
Qatar.
I've
Yeah.
heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Hamas leadership is
That's
being
where they live.
harbored,
Yeah.
and they live there. Yeah, so I mean, all of the funding comes from the Qatar government. Also, something called the Muslim Arab Youth Association. A lot of this stuff is faculty driven. So the liberal professors present the stuff they get from groups like I mentioned
Yep.
to the radical students, and we've talked forever about the radicalization of the universities going back to like the pre-60s, right?
Yeah.
So this has been going on for generations, and this is the cause du jour. Like if you like, we knew there was going to be some major leftist civil unrest in this election year, right?
It's coming even more, man.
I know it's coming even more,
I
but
mean,
this is
every week it's this summer's gonna be bananas.
but you know what's interesting about this particular one, Mike, and I was thinking about this, the BLM movement, everybody involved in those riots in support of them, they were all voting for Biden.
Yeah.
Okay. No
It's their
doubt.
party, dude.
Well,
These
no,
are
but that's what's,
Democrats. Yeah.
yeah, but that's what's interesting about this one, though. These young people, they're not happy with Biden either.
Well, they say that, but they're not gonna vote. They're not gonna vote for Trump. I can
No,
guarantee you that.
but I wonder if this is going to be the year where the young people maybe just don't want to vote for
Maybe.
either one.
Yeah. I mean, it's I guess my thing is they these people get up, and when I say these people, I'm talking about the leftists. I'm talking about the people that are wanting to fundamentally transform the country, right? They
Call
wake
them
up
what they
every
are,
day
Marxist.
and they work all day long at trying to do this. And we're going to work and doing stuff and having our podcast and doing our homework and all this stuff.
Right.
So it is a there is an inertia involved here.
Yeah.
And and if people don't we're gonna get run over, man. Like people just need to open their mouths. Like I'm just tired of people just being like, yeah, whatever, both sides. I'm like, man, it is not both sides. I don't
Yeah.
know where these people are getting this idea that it's both sides from. I mean, it's like there is a group of people that hate the country, and there's people that like the country. Let's go back to the Key Bridge
Yeah,
real quick.
but Mike, the government in power right now that
They
controls the
hate the country
bureaucracy,
too.
they're on the same team
They
as
hate
the
America.
right. So it's
So
like you're going up against an armored dragon in
it's
a
an
sense.
existential threat.
And then on
This,
top and then
yeah,
on top of that though, Mike, conservatives by their very nature just want to be left alone.
correct.
and it's not in their nature to grab signs and all this and grab the rifles or whatever, storm
And
the machine gun
but
nest.
yeah, and I'm not saying we have to store the machine. I'm just talking to people need to open up their pie holes and start talking to people and like start making their points known. Just
I
yeah,
do feel like there is a shift that is going, and it's going against the left. I just don't know how powerful it
not
is.
fast
Right.
enough.
No,
Yeah,
and
I don't
like
know. Yeah,
for instance, like Tucker Carlson, I saw him recently on Rogan, and he was a good voice for like somewhat pragmatic thinking, of course, right leaning, but he's starting to sound a little uh
Kooky.
frazzled. He's starting to sound a little Alex Jones-ish.
mhm.
Not to that degree, but if you watch that episode, man, he's like giggles and weirdness like a lot.
Yeah.
His giggles kind of bother me a little bit, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a little hysterical.
I like the guy. I like the guy for his principles, but I feel like he's getting close to that third rail. He's like
Well, no,
saying some.
he touched the third rail already, and that's why Fox got rid of him. They don't like all of his points of view and perspectives. Like, he'll come right out and say the CIA murdered JFK. That's a
Yeah,
fact. UFOs are spiritual interdimensional beings.
Yeah, that's when he
Um,
starts to lose me.
I mean, he sat down with Putin. Okay, he's protested against the funding of the Ukraine war. Those are all third rails. I mean, so
yeah,
he's definitely his own guy. He platformed Alex Jones, if you want to call it platforming. He basically had him on as a guest to say, "Hey, tell us your story, tell us your version of what what happened with you." So did Elon Musk, by the way, which is why Alex Jones is back on Twitter, which is great. But Tucker's always been very not mainstream to what the Republicans want him to say. He's
mm.
just now he's his own boss. He can say whatever the hell he
Yeah,
wants.
he's an interesting character, and I think we haven't seen the last of his weirdness, and
Oh no,
possibly the
he's
last of his pragmatic thing. I mean, I don't think he's gone overboard yet, total crazy, but like I said, I watched that Joe Rogan episode, and there was a few times where Rogan was like, "Huh," you know what I mean?
right.
Like he was like, "I'm not
Well,
sure what you're talking about here."
the thing
But
is,
anyway,
it's about ideas that you can't get caught up in personalities. I mean, it's like, is there some things that Tucker says I agree with 100%, or the things he says I
Right.
think are bananas 100%?
Yep.
You know, Alex
Like
Jones,
everybody.
is there some things he says I'm like, okay, do I think that he's kind of an anti-Semite? Yeah, I do, because stuff that he said, whatever. There's stuff that's very distasteful. I don't look. I'm not putting posters of these people up on my wall. Like, to me, it's like the Constitution
it's still fair
and
faucet, right?
still fair faucet. You either support what this country is built on or you don't. It's very simple. I'm not a complicated person, but I have to get this in there. A little Francis Scott Key Bridge update. And I knew
Yeah.
I think we even joked that this was going to happen,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
already happening.
The
But up in
terrorists.
Baltimore Sun, there's already groups that are lobbying the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore to not name the new bridge the Francis Scott Key Bridge because he was a slaveholder, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know
Whatever.
that?
But what?
Does anyone like know that? Like, were they like chilling
I
with
think
him?
he
Were they
I think he
homies
had I think he had like
with
three
Francis Cookie?
or something, but like
That's
everyone
not
did.
that
He was a
many.
lawyer. But my point is, on one hand, it's like, Michael, man, you're obsessing. And I'm like, I'm from
No, I
Baltimore.
don't think so at all.
I am the most Baltimore person that you guys probably will ever know in your whole life. And it's the fucking Francis Scott Key Bridge. And that's what it should be. And it's like,
What are they
why
gonna
should it
do?
be something else?
The
No,
Star
because
Spangled
that's what
Banner
it
isn't
is.
gonna be the fucking national anthem
Well,
anymore?
they've been trying to change that for years. My point
Yeah.
is, when I said that these people get up in the morning and they are relentless, and meanwhile we're going and just trying to like make a living. That's what I'm talking about. I'm like, I'm trying to go to work. Meanwhile, there's people that are lobbying my governor to change the name of the bridge. And by the way, I am a huge fan of Francis Scott Key and the Star Spangled Banner. I love it. I always stand. I taught my daughter to sing it when she was like a year old. It is a point of pride. If you go to any sporting event anywhere in the country and the Orioles are playing, and when they sing the national anthem, you can tell who the Baltimore fans are because they'll say "oh" when they go "oh, say can you," at the end.
Oh.
Everyone screams it out. It's like it is part of the culture of the town, and these people who just arrived 15 minutes ago in the town, or just think that they're like they came back from Colombia. Oh, you can't have the name of the bridge be after this guy. And I'm like, I don't have time to go up there and lobby my governor right now. I mean, maybe
Right.
do I need to? And do I care that much about what the bridge is named? It's like, no, but there's like every day they're just tearing away, tear away, tear away,
Right.
tear away.
It's bits
And then it's
pieces,
like, and then you
nickel
lose your
and
country.
diming.
You lose your culture, you lose your country. And this is by people that are like, diversity is important and culture is important. I'm like, what about American culture?
So here's my question with that bridge. Okay, fine. If they rebuild the bridge, technically it's a new bridge.
It's a new bridge.
I'll give them that.
Right.
What is the proposed name for the bridge?
I don't even know.
Okay, because it better not be another
Malcolm
fucking
X
person.
Bridge. It's going to be the Malcolm X Bridge.
It's going to be
Because if
something.
that's the argument, then it needs to be like the Baltimore Bay Bridge.
Or some, yeah.
We don't need to name it after somebody.
But my point is, there are still bodies.
The Green Sky Bridge. I mean,
there are still bodies marinating in the Patapsco, and people are already like, we got to rename the bridge.
Yeah. So I had an interesting conversation. It was actually not a conversation. It was kind of an argument. And I won't get into the intricacies of the argument, but we've talked privately amongst us about this guy that I work with. And he said something. He's been here 17 years, and he's like taken on he's from Africa. And he's taken on all the bad, he is aligning himself with whatever fits his purpose at the time. We don't need to dive into that, but he said something to me, and it really, really fucking pissed me off. He goes, well, that's an American concept. And I'm like, oh, you mean the country that you moved from your country to benefit from? Because he was saying it in a very, that's an American thing, in a very derogatory sense. And I'm like,
yeah, that's where you
realize. What's that?
I said, yeah, that's where you are.
That's under your foot, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, the place that you came to prosper. That's the thing about everything right now that bothers me so much, is that people can, and this is what infuriates me, is like, you can bitch about the place that you have the right to bitch about the place. Like, you come here, you prosper, and then you fucking complain because whatever, because it fits your needs at the time. It's infuriating to me. It's like, go fucking home. Go back to where you were, and then
if it's so bad.
And then and then reminisce about all the things that you had back here. I'm not
No, wait, Zeus, I mean, we don't have to talk immigration, but at least like the guy you're talking about is complaining or sort of
it was the derogatory you're an American.
Derogatory comment about American attitudes or whatever. But when it comes to like there was a story this week in New York City with the new influx of people that literally just crossed the border. And this was a large group, hundreds of people from West Africa showed up at City Hall and protested in City Hall Park and right on the steps and demanded an audience with like the city council, etc. I don't know if you guys saw video of this. And these are people that are getting the benefits, the housing, the food, the money, etc. And they were complaining about the food wasn't good and there weren't enough translators. So they were it was a disgrace. New York City was a disgrace the way they were being treated. And these are people that came all the way from across the ocean.
Okay, so
and they're getting free shit, and it's just like, oh, sorry,
Here's
you
my
don't
thing.
like your
Wasn't good
accommodation.
I'm ex-army. I was willing to go to battle for my country to, just perpetuate my patriotism and all that. And this guy fucking leaves his country and comes over here and wants to talk to me about how bad it is to be an American. You left your country. Are you going to fucking fight for that place? No, because you left because it wasn't fitting your needs. Now you get your needs. It's this entitlement. It's like this like world societal entitlement that people are like so self-involved in. I don't know. I mean, I'm not expressing myself maybe the best, but
I
get it, Zeus.
It's infuriating because I would fucking die for this country today. If you asked me to join the army and I could support my family and all that, I would still do it today. I would go to battle for this country. And these people, and I'm talking anybody, not necessarily this guy, but anybody that comes here and bitches about the opportunity to bitch about shit. Like,
well, yeah, but again, this is a guy, that you work with. I don't, he came here with his own culture. It's different from ours. And he's basically acknowledging that it's different from ours. Maybe he's suggesting that his is better. That's bullshit. You don't have to be here. You're right. I agree with you. But when you look at like what's going on these campuses, these are our own homegrown elite students, our young people, and the problem is
these white kids that are getting pissed off about shit.
They're going to be the ones that are teaching in the future.
But the problem is they're being educated at.
No, they're going to make it that far.
They're being educated at institutions that are funded in large part by these groups that they're supporting. I mean, the money's coming from Qatar. The professors are espousing the bullshit, like the one guy who started all of these organizations in Berkeley. I mean, these kids are being brainwashed, and we've talked about it before. I mean, so we are really like we're behind the 8 ball on this stuff. Mike,
we're late.
We're late. Like, and this all goes back to Bezmenov or whatever the guy's name was.
Yuri Bezmenov, yes. Fucking
Go ahead, Des. I'm sorry.
I got a couple questions about the university situation. Okay. So are they on campus or are they just like on the sidewalk?
No, they're like in front of fucking.
They're on
Columbia. They're on campus, and Columbia's a private university, so that's why it was a big deal for them to call in NYPD to start clearing stuff out. I don't think NYU is a private university.
Okay,
right,
but Columbia is.
So, and there's no. Do they not have motorcycle gangs or let's not call them gangs, motorcycle clubs in these cities that this is happening?
That's what I'm saying. Where are these people, man?
They end up like the Proud Boys. That's why they're not doing
right. And so they're able to cow people, and that's the whole thing too. Like the whole January 6th thing. It's like 1,400 people have been prosecuted, and so now this year, because look, I'll say it. I don't care if we get a check on our account. The Democrat Party is going to try and steal this election this year. Guarantee. They're already doing it. They're trying to. They're using lawfare to keep Trump off the campaign trail. And you've got Biden going around having the fucking balls to be like, oh, where's my opponent? I'm out here campaigning. Where's my opponent?
Oh, well, he's in court. He's in
court. And so you got this stuff going on like right in your face, man. I mean, and people are just like, well, I don't want to be confrontational. I'm like,
okay, so
I don't know, man. I don't know what people need to wake
Here's
up.
a PSA.
I don't get it.
If y'all are sick of the bullshit, come move to Kansas because we got space. And this shit doesn't happen here because there would be.
We're further from the borders.
There would be the motorcycle gangs out in front of them, blocking them. So the fucking Jewish students don't have to listen to them and they can go to class.
Yeah.
There's that. Also, there's going to be a couple people with a megaphone on the other side saying, get a job. Or like some other dumb shit, equally
That's
dumb.
right. I've thought about that. I mean, you're right. I mean, where Jack is, where I am, where Zeus is. I mean, we are in blue. I'm not going to say blue. We're in party held territory, big time. And it
ground zero.
Ground zero. And I've thought about this myself. I'm like,
moving.
Yeah, I don't want to get the hell out of here, man. This is not. These are not my people here. Like these people don't believe in what I believe.
All of this that you
guys
feel
like I'm in a foreign country.
It doesn't happen here. And I mean, maybe it's because it hasn't infiltrated yet, but just this mentality of people here, that's not happening. Like that's not going to be the thing. We're not going to
I would go tomorrow, but I mean, like we all have lives where we are, But this is a country where you have mobility if you can really arrange to go somewhere else.
But I
You
just
you
resent.
know,
I resent the whole idea. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to give up the capital of the country. Right?
No,
I don't know.
I'm not fucking moving.
I mean, I'm not saying
I
it's
w-
great. I'm not saying it's a great and beautiful, wonderful state
Be
and
right
there's lots
back.
of stuff to do, because there isn't.
But no,
However,
Desiree, your point's
you
well
don't have to deal with the
taken.
bullshitting.
Your point is well taken, and I know people that live in other places that aren't like Maryland and aren't like Northern Virginia or New York, and it's like they don't. And a lot of stuff that you've said has been very enlightening. I mean, I love your perspective because it's like I have to remind myself that like where I am is not everywhere. And I get that. I do get that. But it's where I am. So it's like that's what I get
Yeah.
confronted with
But
every
like
day.
Some other questions, and I mean, maybe
Yeah.
we should just wait till Jack gets back. But number one, there's got to be some legality issues with this stuff. Number one, it feels like they're going past the point of peaceful
Yeah,
protesting
but law's gone out
to
the
rioting.
door, guys.
Yeah.
Law's
To
gone
rioting.
out the door.
Yeah,
What's legal is all
Right, but
objective.
no.
It's like-
It's all's fun and games until somebody fucking snitches and sues your ass. And
Yeah.
so I feel like there's going to be a lot of lawsuit. Like, if you are a Jewish student, I mean, I'm not trying to make like any what are they called? Stereotype
Yeah.
stereotypical statements, but you have enough money to sue people, or your family does.
or your
I
lawyers.
feel like that's a compliment.
Right.
Hey.
But
so the fact that you're not able to go to your class safely, so you're being denied like an education based on your rate, on your religion, or on your ethnicity, religion. I don't know.
religion
Maybe it's both.
and ethnicity. Yeah, both.
Both actually.
So that's a fucking discrimination, and that's being allowed by the university.
But Des,
Well,
here's the
here's
thing.
my thing is
That's a lawsuit.
Yeah, but the law is so like whatever fits the
These
goddamn-
jurisdictions are so far gone, Desiree. Like the DC circuit is like lost, right?
Yeah,
I mean, Obama packed it. He increased the number of judges by like 30%. New York, the Southern District of New York and New York courts, you're not going to get any kind of fair trial up there. It's all politicized.
Yeah, the law has gone out the door.
The law is out the door, man.
It's mostly leftist.
Here's how much respect. Here's how much respect I have for courts in DC. Zero. I have zero respect. If I meet someone and they're a judge, if they say, "Oh man, I'm a judge," and I'd be like, "Man, what an asshole!" Like I have no, like if I see a guy digging a ditch down the street, I have more respect for him than I do a judge in DC.
Absolutely, because
they're ball pigs.
working.
It's so gone. They're so horrible. It's such a disaster, and it's like you get respect, you earn respect. You don't just get respect because you're wearing a black.
You're not entitled to it.
You're not entitled to it. And these people are political operatives. These people are party hacks. The people that are in these positions.
And then you get these people that listen to the they're just I've used the term before, but they're just looking for keywords. Oh, well, that's bad because it uses Israel, or that's bad because it uses Palestine. Nobody's actually going a step deeper into the situation. They hear the words that they want to hear and they lock into that. I mean, honestly, I'll tell you right now.
I guess I have more questions.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What does?
More questions?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just don't want
Well, I mean, honestly, at this point, and I never thought I'd say this again. If RFK has a chance at it, I vote for him. But honestly, what I think, even if he had a chance, I think that I'm probably voting for Trump because we need such a hard shift back to the right, not to make everything Republican in nature, but just to get things back
put the
to
brakes
a more
on.
sane. What's that?
Just to put the brakes on.
Yeah, just to get things back to something that resembles normalcy. And I'm afraid that.
Well, also, wasn't Trump? I mean, couldn't you look at Trump's administration and what he did as not ultra conservative, but pretty moderate?
Yeah, it was pretty moderate.
I would definitely call him more of a moderate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not even like you're not switching
Yeah,
gears.
but at this time, if he gets into the presidency, it's going to be a hard shift right. Maybe it'll balance out and get more in the middle.
It's not. I don't think it's going to be a hard shift right. I think it's going
No,
to
no,
be a hard
no.
shift
But
to the
hard
middle.
shift right just
Like,
means get it back to the middle.
It's going to be
Right.
like pulling the wire on the train. Like,
Right, exactly.
like,
That's what I'm
lock
saying.
up the wheels and just like bring it to a
I'm
stop.
not saying that everybody's going to be all Republican at the end of the day if he gets in there, but what I'm saying is that it'll get more to a more sane
It's
place.
so bad.
Well,
It's so bad, Zeus. I don't even like in my wildest dreams, I don't even imagine that there would be progress if Trump wins. I just want the stuff to stop going down the toilet. Like
You want to halt the bleeding.
I just want to stop the bleeding. Like I don't
Yeah.
even have any aspirations that it's going to be
I don't.
I just don't want it to
right.
be worse.
Yeah, no,
I've
Mike.
said it before. I don't like Trump, but
some of the hardline MAGA people really want him to come in and give DC like a total anima.
Yeah,
like they
I'm
want,
one of them.
like I mean, people are calling for major departments of the federal government to be eliminated completely.
Yes.
Well, isn't
100%.
that what he tried to do
Yeah.
the first time? What a concept.
Well, my thing is he was being pretty good about not saying stupid shit. And the one thing that I will say,
Yeah, win.
but no, he's actually been kind of quiet politically speaking.
Yeah,
he's
because
being
he's got a
held
lot of
in
gag
court.
orders on him.
Yeah,
But-
he's got a lot of gag
But
orders.
the thing that he said that just I was like, oh great, man. When he said I want to be dictator for a day, I was like, fuck.
No, that
What?
was fine. They asked him.
Yeah, but that's
No, he
fodder
was.
for a lot
he-
of talk.
He was asked about it, and he just said, "Yeah, for the first day, because I'm going to shut down the border." Wasn't that the complete
Yeah,
answer?
that was pretty much it. And anyone that has like any sort of honest look at it would know that. But
Fair enough. Probably
but
not
we
the
don't
best,
have an
best
honest
use of
press,
words.
so they
You guys
run with all this other crap. And then we have people coming into our comments saying like, "You're okay
Yeah,
with him being a dictator for," and then it's like I don't even know how to talk to someone like that, man. It's like
No, because they're
it's
not
retarded.
informed. That's like
And
a lot of these college students. They're not really informed.
Right. And so I'm just tired of being nice about it because it's like I'm tired of tiptoeing around on eggshells with these people.
I think this
Period.
is the most important election ever.
That is not an understatement.
I still got more questions about the colleges.
Yes.
Yeah,
let's-
please,
let's
Okay.
Jess,
roll.
go ahead.
Okay. So we've already established, is it legal to protest on campus? Private or public?
Yeah, I mean, if the college is allowing it, then it is, right?
You have to define
I don't know
protest.
because, like, listen, well, okay, for example, if you want to go protest an abortion clinic, that's fine. You can stand over there, but you're legally not allowed to be on the premises.
Okay.
Well, you can't even, I think with the FACE Act, which is federal, you're not even allowed to be within like, what is it, like 50
Sight
yards
distance,
or
yeah.
300 feet or whatever. I mean, because
anyone can protest anywhere. Anyone can carry a sign anywhere they want in public property anytime they want. If they're on private property, the owner of the property can tell them to leave, and if they don't, then they're trespassing. But I can walk around with a sign saying anything, anywhere, and that is fine.
And a public, well, I don't know because it's a public university, public
in a public
property.
university.
Well, I don't know because like a hospital is public property, but it's not also. It's the hospital's
in the
property.
hospital. Well, yeah, there's a difference. That's a private. It all comes down to
But
who
it's not.
owns
I
it.
mean, anyway,
I
so
don't know.
that was
With
the
a
question. I just didn't know if it was
hospital, I
legal
think,
to
has
like be protesting like in the student center or whatever the fuck.
I don't
I
think
don't know.
you're allowed to obstruct, and getting back to like what Jack was saying with these street blockades. How is that even allowed to go on? Like
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
saying. How is
That's
it
not
legal?
protesting.
Like
well,
how?
no, because the local governments that control the local police aren't enforcing the law.
So like silence is violence, but blocking people from getting to the hospital is what? Like how is
Right.
that? Hey, here's the thing I think about too.
Yeah,
Why didn't they just like run them
microaggressions.
over? You'll move.
Microaggressions. Here's a
Like
Friends of
that's not
Zeus
trying to say like run them
podcast.
over, but if you get close enough to them, they'll move.
Yeah, it's a roadway. It's for cars, man. Don't
Yeah,
even
not
get
for
me
people
started
to
on
stand.
bicycles.
So move.
But my thing is, these people on the Golden Gate Bridge, like, okay, suppose you're like 15 cars back and you're sitting there for 5 hours and you went out for like had some crazy food the night before, and you got to like
take a
drop
shit
a
or even
deuce.
pee.
Where are you going? I mean, if I look, here's the thing I know. I'm not a violent person. I'm not going to attack anybody. I'm not going to hit it. It's not in my nature. But I will piss on somebody. Like if I'm in one of these things and
Or
they're
shit on your
blocking the
shoes.
road and I got to pee, I'm going to the front of the line. Bang. I'm telling you. I mean, what are they going to say? Where's the freaking porta john? Where are all the people taking a shit everywhere? I mean, that was 5 hours, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I would just go and get a kayak and just row myself fucking across the bay. I don't know, like it ain't that far.
Not if you're on the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
but then you gotta
you're
like
pretty
if you're
far
5
up.
hours back.
But where are these people going to the bathroom?
It's a good question, Mike.
Maybe they got
inquiring
a
minds.
porta john like a like a little like a bedpan like in their car. Because I mean, I'm sure that happens though. I mean, what if there's a wreck on the bridge? I mean, that kind of stuff happens. So
yeah,
and that bridge is always backed up anyway. Anyway, okay. So the other question:
okay,
if you're holding a sign that says whatever, something about I am Hamas, we support Hamas, whatever, specifically Hamas, wouldn't that be considered like terrorism or maybe
I don't think they're doing
not
that
anymore.
I think they mask it with pro-Palestine when what they really are is pro-Hamas.
No, there are people chanting "We are Hamas" and holding up pro-Hamas signs that actually say it. But the bottom line is, it goes back to the college, the police department, whoever the mayor is. It goes back to who's supposed to like break these things up, and they're letting these people do it. I mean,
right.
It's as simple as that.
Next question. So like then at what point are these considered hate crimes that they're doing? Because they are there's been several attacks on Jewish students. There's been several basically these are anti-Semitic protests. I mean, and then if they're again blocking Jewish students from getting to their fucking classes, I mean,
or their dorms.
And they're paying like 70 grand a year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like there's a lot of illegal shit that is occurring within that specifically that they're just maybe going to.
Here's my point. And maybe I'm wrong. I just think it's time for quote unquote regular citizens to get fucking pissed off. That's what I think.
Yeah,
because
I think a lot of them are,
everyone being polite and being like, I don't know if I can say that. I'm like, that's out the window, man. I mean, look, the rules of the game are set by the aggressor. Period. Sun Tzu, like, look at the thing Zeus said.
Or why aren't these businesses like turn off the fucking sprinklers? Like, get them out of there.
Something like get creative. Exactly.
Just like the motorcycle clubs. I mean, again, I don't know if you guys have witnessed this, or maybe this is literally just like a kind of around here thing, but their motorcycle clubs will go.
Yeah.
And they'll just like in the fucking roadway, just like, so you can't even hear what the fuck they're saying. Like, well,
I've
sorry,
seen that
just trying to
with the Just Stop Oil people. I've seen a few videos where bikers go up and turn their bikes around and just like right on them.
Like,
it's pretty uncomfortable.
I just think anybody who engages with these protesters, any kind, whatever anti-American at its core protest you have, the people that try to step up and do something or engage, they're going to get prosecuted. This is I never heard this phrase before, but I heard a podcaster refer to the current system as anarcho-tyranny. And what that is the way the law is applied. Some are allowed to get away with anarchy, and others are punished under the heels of tyranny.
Yeah.
It's our anarchy that's important. It's my anarchy that's the important one.
Well, anyway, anarcho-tyranny is what we're dealing with.
That's a perfect explanation.
No, and I'm supporting that. What I'm saying is that as long as it's the anarchy we want that makes it difficult for you, we're all on board.
It's in general, it's the rule of law, which we've seen eroded, which is why I have no respect for judges in the town I live in.
Well, yeah, but Mike, we've seen it erode for some, but not for others. But it still erodes because
justice meted out unjustly is not justice. But
it's
not. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, no, you've got old ladies that were let into the Capitol by police
in their 70s.
that stayed within the velvet ropes. You can see them on film, like tourists, and they're being prosecuted. I
And
mean,
put in prison.
and then meanwhile, there was one now with these college protests.
Jack, you're just saying stuff.
No, there have been some arrests made. And one notable arrest, you guys must have heard about this. I want to say it was at Columbia. It was either, I know it was in New York. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar's daughter.
Yeah.
Was strangely enough, she was one of the public arrests out of like 20 people, which I think is really convenient so that she could go on and say, "Oh, poor me. We have a First Amendment right to be here." And it's funny that somebody interviewed her, and apparently she got suspended, right, for the arrest. So she was specifically disciplined, and she was complaining that she was suddenly going to be homeless because she didn't have a dorm, and she was going to go hungry, because she wasn't able to go to the dining hall.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds like a you problem now, honey. Figure it out.
It
Walk
also
around and figure it out.
Not the university's problem.
Guys, it's
every
also
every
bullshit.
decision has consequences.
It is.
Every single one of them. Bad decisions probably have bad consequences.
No, it's bullshit. She'll be fine.
Look,
she'll be fine.
They had these people in.
No, I know she'll be fine, but what she was saying that so she could get some sympathy. No one feels sorry for you, honey.
No, it's publicity.
They had these people that were like these protesters that were hit with fart spray and like.
Oh, I was gonna say, where'd the fart bombs and all this?
MSNBC, they were like they were attacked with a chemical weapon.
The fart bombs.
That's MSNBC. Yeah, that's our media.
Can we go back to the girl putting the daisy in the end of the M16, and that was like this
from Watchmen?
What's that?
Yeah, from Watchmen.
Yeah. Can we go back to a time where everything wasn't so?
No, it was bad then.
Hold on, just hold on. Can you imagine if you had to go to court because you deployed chemical warfare on somebody and it was a fart bomb?
I know, and it's called.
And how funny that would be.
It was called like juicy farts or wet farts or something.
Yeah, we have fart bombs. Yeah, you get Spencer's fart bombs.
Yeah, chemical weapons.
Anyway, go ahead, Zeus.
So much about what we talk about now is just like Tom. I get why Tom is taking a hiatus from the show.
Dude, I thought about taking a hiatus.
Me too.
It drives me crazy, man.
Me too.
But we can't. We can't. We're doing good things. We're saying good things, and people are.
Next week's episode is My Little Pony.
What's that?
Next week's episode, we're talking about My Little Pony.
Exactly. Look, next week is about the Smurfs and strawberry shortcake.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. If we start getting into like children's TV,
oh god,
this whole movement has totally penetrated that too.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's no safe space.
I will say this. I might have to take back some ugly words about Barbie, the Barbie movie, because I've seen a few clips from it. I don't know if it's woke, but the things I've seen are pretty goddamn funny. You saw it, right?
I wouldn't hold on. No, I don't think the Barbie movie is woke. I think the Barbie movie fucking brings to light some deep-seated feminine trauma that just happens to every one of us in our lives that we don't even know is happening to us. But that's all I gotta say about that.
All I know is I saw a scene in it where she had her hair.
It's a good movie.
I wouldn't recommend it for young children, honestly. I mean,
no,
yeah, it's not a kids movie.
All I know is I saw a scene where she had her hair all cut, all jaggedy, like a little girl would do, like the
I've cut my hair with
Barbie that
before.
You saw where they tried to do their hair and it's all fucking jacked up, and I was like, okay, maybe I have to see this.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. I just haven't had time.
I've heard bad things and good things. So I mean, it's just a movie that I have no interest in watching. But if it's
more
on,
about misogyny, like it's actually a legitimate. I get the feeling that it's actually more legitimate than I thought it was, and that maybe it's not as woke. That's fine, but I might have to see it because goddamn, if that scene didn't crack me up, just the fucking jacked up hair.
I will recommend.
There you go.
I will recommend the Fallout series.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that's good.
It's
It's
bananas.
amazing.
It's bananas.
Now,
So
So
Jason said it was woke because the protagonist is a female and she's kind of badass. But I'm like, dude,
no, that's not,
okay,
dude.
chill out a little bit.
No,
yeah, that's like Sigourney Weaver. I mean, we already did an episode on like the great female characters in movies, like way
No.
back when.
So none of you have probably played the Fallout game. I have, and that show that is so amazingly like it's like
Faithful.
paying homage to the game Fallout.
yeah.
It's like it talks
It's
about like the little.
I think it's phenomenal. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's a
an
great show,
absolutely
isn't it?
phenomenal story.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's got
I mean
Walton Goggins, who's like one of my favorite actors. You
yeah,
don't know.
the interaction between him and the girl, and because she is pure good and she has to learn to be bad, and he is horrible and he resists trying to be
But
good.
he's actually a nice guy.
But my point is
Yeah.
he can't afford to be, and yet she that whole dynamic between those two is
But wait,
It's
amazing.
a
yeah,
it's a
I mean,
spectacular show.
I'll
Yeah.
have to look about. I don't know anything about it. Like, I don't know when it takes place, where it takes place,
It's
like
like
what
you
it's.
have, and that's good, Jack. Don't even look
Yeah,
into
you
it.
can't.
It's
Yeah,
like it's seriously, and I will say this: it's like one of those shows where you have to like put on your seatbelt before you watch it because you
Okay.
don't know where it's going. It goes left, right, up,
I'll
down.
give you a brief
Okay, cool.
description with
No,
no.
don't, no,
No, let
Oh
me
don't
no,
just.
no
even.
spoilers.
I'll watch the first episode. I don't need to know anything
Yeah,
about it. I'll
You'll
just
be
the
off
check
to
first
it
the
out.
episode will
races.
lock you in.
Yeah, you'll
Okay,
But
be
it
cool.
is so loyal to the game. Like I've never seen a movie that's based on a video game that encapsulates the video game
Okay.
and still propels the story forward. It is amazing. I'm
All
so
right.
glad that
Awesome.
Mike watched it because
It's phenomenal.
yeah, it's a great show.
Is everyone ready for? I
Okay,
mean,
sorry.
am I
That
the
was
asshole?
Are we
tangent.
the
Wait,
asshole?
tangent alert.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are we doing another one of
Yeah,
those?
we
Because
got
I
a
just,
couple. Because
okay.
unless we got more to talk about the
No,
campus.
I was going to touch on some of the stuff
Oh,
going
okay.
on in Congress, but we
Okay,
don't have to do
we
that.
can do
No,
that.
no. Let's
Okay.
let's go to Are We an Asshole?
All right.
Okay. Okay. Am I the asshole for pretending to not know who Donald Trump is?
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Pretending
yes,
to
yes,
not
yes, yes,
know?
yes, yes.
Pretending to not know. This is
Wait,
Are
they
you six?
wait. Are they trying to get in a jury? Like, why would you
well,
even do
I
that?
don't know. That's the title. That's the title. Now listen, here's the story.
Okay.
For some context, I am an Irish woman living in Canada. I moved from Ireland 6
the
years
Irish.
ago. I could
Fuck
not
the
give
Irish.
I could not give a fuck about American politics.
Right.
Admittedly, I have been burying my head in the sand when it comes to global and current news events. In the past few years, bad news has been affecting my mental health, so I've kept myself aware but have not followed along closely with global events.
I get it.
I tried to politely avoid conversations in those topics. Also, I'm not an American. I don't even live in America. Recently, I have had to spend some time in Dallas, Texas for work. Honestly, I
Sorry.
have had a fabulous time. I know. Oh, Dallas isn't the greatest. Everyone has had it's just really fucking hot. Everyone has been so lovely and welcoming. It's also a beautiful state. No, it's not. This is my first time seeing such a flat and arid landscape that I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
So obviously no hate towards Texas. One evening last week, I finished my work for the day and went to a small barbecue restaurant near my hotel and sat at the bar to have a chill dinner. I had finished my meal and was just having a glass of wine, and then a man around my age, late 20s, early 30s, sat beside me. We engaged in polite conversation at first. He was curious about my accent, and when I told him, he began to speak about Ireland being a conservative country and how I must be struggling under a libtard director. Libtard dictator.
They're not.
Trudeau.
Yeah.
She put yeah. Anyway, I tried to shut the conversation down, initially just dodging the comment and changing the subject. He wouldn't quit, pushing me to reveal a political side, and I eventually firmly said that I didn't want to talk about politics. I think that he took that to mean I just didn't want to talk about Irish-Canadian relationships and begin to talk about the upcoming presidential election in America. He was saying something about Donald Trump, and I interrupted him by asking, who? He asked me to clarify. I repeated, who's Donald Trump? He was flabbergasted, and was rendered speechless for a moment.
Smart
And
girl.
he exclaimed to no. How do I not know? I shrugged. I'm not an American. Why would I follow American politics? He continued with a soliloquy about it, so I wasn't really listening. I interjected by asking him if he knew the name of the Irish president, which I can't even say this name, considering that he expected me to know the name of his country's political candidates. He couldn't answer me. I paid my bill and left. I was telling my friend in Vancouver about it, and she told me I should have been more respectful and just gone along with it. Because I'm a guest in his town. Am I the asshole?
No, not an asshole. No,
for not knowing who. Wait. For not knowing who Trump is.
For pretending
she's smart. No, not at all, man.
No, she's sitting
at the bar. Did you hear the story?
That's a smart girl,
I did hear the story, but how do you live on this planet?
Because she doesn't want to fucking talk about it.
If you said she was a bushman in the Kiwahara, I could maybe buy it.
No, but she's smart because it shut him down. And look, anyone that says they don't want to talk about this stuff, I totally respect it. I mean, I would never, if someone's like, Michael, I don't want to talk about this stuff, I'd be like, man, I wish I was you. Like, I get it. Like, I wish I didn't. I wish I'd never thought about this stuff.
Listen, I love this segment of the show, but
also, there's times where I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, there's times I don't want to talk about it.
Like, I'll just be like, I don't know.
She did know who Trump was, and
she did know who Trump was, but she didn't want to sit there at the bar and talk about it.
Absolutely, she's not an asshole.
No, so she's like, who's that?
He's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah, he's the asshole because First of all, why do you just sit down and start talking about politics? You don't do that. That's just not.
We do it every week on Tuesday.
If you like or don't like someone based on their politics, that's sad.
It really is.
Yeah, and she didn't say anything rude like, "Hey, listen, fuck Donald Trump. I'm not talking to you anymore." Who?
Here, back to my thing about earlier. I don't know where he's from. Let's just say, I'll just pick a country. Let's say he was Ivory Coast. If I were to say, well, you're just an Ivory Coaster, suddenly I would be an awful human. The guy that said, well, you're just American, and that's why.
Right.
If I were to say, you're from somewhere that's not here, fucking HR, how you doing? We've been here before. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Well,
but anyway,
So she's not the asshole.
No, she's not.
No, she seems actually like
here's
a sweet
another one.
Lass.
Am I the asshole for telling my wife that her hobby is ridiculous? Probably. But anyway, we'll see. Since last fall, my wife has been really into gardening. She's read several articles, gone to classes at her local community college, and even checked out books from the library about gardening. Unfortunately, despite all this preparation, the actual gardening hasn't gone so well. Also me, honey. She's lost a few of her plants, which she then had to buy replacements for, and had others got infested with bugs. So she bought different nets and even a non-toxic insecticide to combat the pests. I kept reminding her that anywhere outside is going to have bugs, but every time I turn around, she seems to be buying more stuff from the garden center. After a trip to the garden center today, I decided to level with her. I told her that her current hobby is expensive and impractical, that even if her plants, which are potatoes, strawberries, carrots, live,
dude, it's hard to mess up potatoes.
They aren't likely to reach the size of the produce that you can buy at the supermarket. After all, those are grown in industrial scale on an industrial scale by professionals. I caveated that even if the plants live and to produce huge and delicious food, which she will have spent much more growing them than she would have had just picking the produce off the shelf of the grocery store. She exclaimed, I don't understand at all why she was doing this, and that it's less about the food and more about the experience. I laughed and reminded her that if the experience of gardening is so important to her, there are plenty of plants that take quite a bit of effort to kill. At this, she became irate. She became irate and told me that she couldn't believe how disrespectful I was being towards something that makes her happy. I think my concerns are very valid, though, and I stand by what I said earlier about simply buying produce at the grocery store. My wife hasn't spoken to me in hours, and she clearly still a bit annoyed at me. But I don't think I owe her an apology. We just have a difference of opinion. I just wish we could agree to disagree and move on, as I have. I don't know what she wants me to say, and I'm kind of losing patience. Am I the asshole?
Yes.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, he's the asshole.
Yeah. So that's like saying, like, if someone's trying to learn how to play piano and you're like, why aren't you just listening to the CD? Like, why are you suck? I mean,
Yeah, are you trying to be
the
like a
what he
process,
was
pianist?
saying,
the
what it sounds
process
like he was
is the
saying
hobby.
is practice the piano a little longer,
Well,
and then we can.
Oh,
you
she's
can go buy
trying.
produce from the
How do
grocery
you?
store.
Yeah, that's how you get big produce. Listen, and whatever he was saying about they're grown and the way that they're grown, that is not true. You go to the fucking farmer's market, shit, that stuff is huge. You ever
Yeah.
get like a squash
we
or a
have a
thing of carrots
garden.
from there?
Mike, you know about our garden, right?
Yeah.
We have a garden that's like we fucking cucumbers like fucking huge. Like it's not that hard to do.
No.
So
Well, yeah, maybe she doesn't have a green thumb. Maybe he could help her.
well,
Listen,
good. All I'm saying is it sounds like he was saying read some more books. It didn't sound like he was saying you're a fucking idiot. You can't do this.
Yeah, but you have to
Sounded like he was
learn.
more
basically
like
he was saying this is a waste of time because it's never going to be fruitful.
Yeah,
Is
and it's
basically what he
expensive.
said.
He
And
said
it's
it was
expensive.
costing too much money.
So that I
Well,
get.
it
Like
doesn't.
yeah.
it
Well,
is
look,
expensive.
well, what he should do is he should know that the great fall of society is coming, and his wife is smart for growing her own food
Yes.
now
Yes.
because
100%.
because pretty soon
Figuring it out.
he should probably get some chickens too. Like he should start really learning how to like have a micro farm.
Yes.
Yeah, this way.
Another reason why we should all listen to the Michelle Dowd Forager episode because of Rogan because she's totally like survive off the land.
So back to the
well,
question that she was
prep or
asking.
die.
Prep or die, right? Well,
Did an episode
maybe it's not her fault necessarily. Maybe it's like the soil's fault. Okay. Maybe it's the sun's fault. Maybe she just needs to figure out like a better watering schedule. Gardening is hard, especially when you live here. Like Kansas, we grow a lot of food, but our soil fucking sucks. Mine does anyway. I got clay soil.
Hard to grow shit. One thing you said, like the beginning of gardening is probably to make sure you got good soil. That's like step one.
Yeah, but you got to figure that out. You got to grow. You got to
But
fail
he
a
could
few
buy
times
her
to
a
figure
book.
that out. He could
buy her a book. He
could go get some
buy a
gypsum to
class
put in the
for
soil
her
for her.
watch.
He could, listen. It would be one thing if he said, "Listen, we are on a tight budget. You can't really be going to buy all this stuff.
But
I mean,
listen,
I understand you like it, but we can't really afford it. It would be that. But I spend a lot of money on gardening shit, dumb shit, bug pesticides, whatever. Craig has never once told me, do you think you're overspending on the garden or on the lawn?
Right.
Because he knows what's good for him.
But that being said, there is something with gardening, like a lot of things in life, where certain people are just good at it. I mean, my wife has a green thumb. I mean, she can just conjure things out of the ground. She's like got spiritual power. I don't even know. She is amazing at gardening. And she just comes naturally. Her dad was like that. Her mom was like that.
So
I'm not
my
like
little
that. I don't have a
gardening
green
experience is my wife. We have this little garden plot. You can buy these little community plots.
She's pretty good at it.
And she's really good at it, but she went away for like a summer and left me in charge. And I just fucking watered shit and put some seeds. I like grew some stuff that she didn't even want me to grow. I like grew some jalapeno peppers. And not all of them grew, but I was able to produce something from the earth with
from your box of dirt.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, watering is really the big part.
And not only that, but if she's got a hobby that gives him time to have a hobby too.
Yeah, and the hobby's outside, it's not loud.
Yeah, no, but he could do something while she's doing that. And that having that kind of like space sometimes is a good thing.
So good.
Yeah, and who cares?
Yeah, he's an asshole.
She's probably gonna get a good suntan going out there. I don't know.
He is
bugs are outside, but when like the cabbage moths and shit be coming to eat all your shit, or like the birds want to eat your strawberries, it's a little annoying.
But like in this new world of the internet that we're living in, I like when I had some cucumbers I was growing, and I started seeing bugs, and so I took pictures of the bugs, and I was like, I went on to whatever, and I was like, do you know what this bug is? And they're like, that's a cabbage beetle, and like I learned like
or whatever.
Yeah, I get a little bit of the Zen thing from gardening. I just don't want to do it like 3 days a week.
Oh, well, you got to do it like every day.
I'm like cucumbers, tomatoes, potatoes. Fucking done. Those ones you can just kind of water them and
then you got too many cucumbers because damn, they grow fast.
I love
them. One squash plant is enough. That's
Dude,
all
I
I'm
can't
saying.
even do squashes because we got the
fucking owns
fucking
the garden.
I'm saying one is enough.
we got the
One plant.
squash bugs, squash beetles,
All
vine
right.
borers.
Hey guys, I hate to say it, but I think we've been on for a while, and I think it might be time we wrap things up. What do you guys say?
Yeah.
So, Jack,
think-
you're saying gardening's for assholes.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's the
Saying the
asshole.
husband's an asshole. Let your
Yeah.
wife garden. Shut up and eat
Yeah,
something.
I'm just saying we've been on for a while now, and it might be time to wrap things up.
Whoever's point is that it takes her away from the house and you can do stuff that you want. That was the best point of everything.
Yeah.
And I will reconsider my gardening critiques later because yes, she's out of the house for like 4 hours.
There you go.
Done and done.
Not bugging you. So
Not bugging.
get out of the
you.
house for 4
everybody.
hours, everyone. Stop bugging your
We're not
spouse.
squash beetling us.
Let your
And yeah,
spouse
don't
have a hobby.
Don't be a vine weaver
Till next
or
week.
vine borer, whatever it's called.
Bye,
And watch
everybody.
Fallout. Fallout's great.